Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's episode 8. We're talking is grad school a must with my 2 grad friends, and this is actually our first episode away. We're not on set, as you can see. Is grad school a must? Let's get into it. Cheers! Woo! Alright, to start us off, let me introduce, or let them introduce my new guest for today.
Hi, my name is Julia. I went to Valdosta State. Go Dawgs. Wait. Go
Blazers!
I graduated May 2020 and now I'm at South Carolina State University getting my master's.
And your master's in
speech pathology.
And you graduated undergrad early.
Yeah.
Notable.
Yeah, I'm Myra. Is Alumna State University for undergrad, BBA. I graduated the year after her, May 21. I didn't go to a different school. I went the same one for grad. Same one for grad. Go Blazers. And
Go Blazers.
Master's of Accountancy, and then my Master's of Business Administration after that.
Ooh. So 2 degrees.
Yeah, 2 degrees. Well, 3. Well,
No, I'm saying like you're in grad school for 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
one at a time.
Honestly, the topic for today is grad school a must? Okay, let's start with what led you to go to grad school. Like when you initially were in undergrad, did you always anticipate that you were going to go to grad school?
I felt yes, whether it happened like immediate after I graduated from undergrad or later down the line. I just knew it was a part of like my plan to further my career and do what I need to do. So I wasn't going to be able to do what I want to do professionally without having my master's. If that makes sense. Essentially like practicing independently as a speech pathologist. You can't do that without having your master's. I hope you understood that. If you have questions, let me know.
I feel like for me, it more so was for more knowledge. Like I could have left with a bachelor's and then like went straight up into the job field, but I feel like I wasn't ready mentally, experience-wise yet. So I wanted to study more and like be more delved into what my profession was going to be. Plus, I still needed time to choose a specialty, and I hadn't had enough time with each course to know exactly what I wanted to do. But it wasn't necessarily needed for me for my profession, but for more money-wise, yeah, that's an option.
You knew that you were going to go to grad school. You knew that it was like your bottom line. And you knew that it was going to come right after graduation, like you wanted to go ahead and like dive right into it.
Yeah, I wanted to dive right into it, but like stuff went left, but I made my way back.
Yeah. And for me, I knew I was going to dive right into it. However, like the way my program is set up, I would have immediately started in the summer. I took a gap and then I started in the fall, which is making me stay to continue this summer.
In our other episodes, we were talking about how essential it is to like take that break between like undergrad and like grad school, but you wouldn't have took the break if you didn't have to, or you took the break but you wish you had.
Yeah, being on the other end now, I wish I had.
But
For me, like it wasn't. When I was like in my senior year in undergrad, I wanted to go straight into grad school and not wait, but I was open to taking the gap year. So like in that timeline or time frame, in my last year, I applied to schools. Can I just go ahead and like get it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I applied to a bunch of schools in my senior year, and I didn't get in. So then I was like, well, what am I gonna do in the meantime to get in the next time around? So then I ended up working as a registered behavior technician, which is like working with kids with autism and like working on their behavior skills. And I got some additional clinical hours to like help with my resume and things like that, and spoke to other people like in my field doing what I want to do. And so all that helped to get to where I'm at now. So I'm grateful, even though like it took some time, but everything worked out.
Okay, so were y'all ever on the fence? Like, were you ever like, oh, I'm definitely going, and then something in your timeline was just maybe kind of like, maybe you should.
Something should.
Like, yeah, did anything make you question whether or not, 1, going now is a good time, and 2, going at all?
I feel like after experiencing it for a little bit, I'm at the point where going at all, because I'm going. I could have been making money right now. Like I could have been full-time, full-fledged making money right now. And now if I'm looking at my calendar, my time span, my path of what I want to do, when I graduated in the summer with the first one, I'll be given opportunities to work full time and to make more money compared to staying and taking that second. So I'm going, you can stay here, you can take that, go and get that second degree, but you're turning down full-time positions that you could have right now, like making the income that you want to be making. But if you stop and you go and work full-time, you're not going to come back and get that second degree. 9 times out of 10, if I stop right now, I'm not going to come back. I feel like it's just where you end up. Like, literally is where you end up and what works best for you at that time. But I also think it goes with resources as well. I feel like if I didn't have the resources that I have right now, I wouldn't be in grad school at all.
When you graduate grad school, what do you believe you're going to walk into? What are you anticipating walking into?
I just feel like my track, like after I graduate, I have to do my residency. So as I finish up grad school, I'll be going into that and like working with the speech pathologist so I can apply to get certified. So it's like the next process after you've gotten like the academic aspect of things and the practicums that you do in school. You move on to like residency in the real world and apply all that stuff with your lead like SLP, if that makes sense.
Okay.
SLP is speech language pathologist. We have a lot of acronyms. So you gotta get it.
So has anyone in your family gone to grad school before?
No.
Yep. Oh.
Immediate family wise, I feel like in my generation, like my cousins are doing the same thing as well. But like as far as before me, I don't think so.
I know like for a fact like my mom did immediately, and then I have a cousin that did.
Were any of them like suggesting that you do grad school? Did they have any like role or play? Did they have any like
Influence.
Did they have any influence in you choosing to go to grad school?
In a way they did. I mean, I feel like I learned about like my field of study and then like figured out what I needed to do to get certified. So it was like I was informing them along the way, but also like when I was getting into my senior year in undergrad, like they were a part of the process, of course, but I don't think in terms of like influencing me, it was a matter of like location and other things that like came into play and like finances and stuff. But in terms of like my decision to go to grad school, I felt that was all mine, and they just were informed along the way, like helped me out that way.
I feel the same way. I feel like the ultimate
I didn't feel
decision.
pressured.
Yeah, I didn't feel pressure or nothing. The ultimate decision itself was pretty much like just on me of what I wanted to do as long as I had a plan. But like the opportunities and stuff that went with it and where I was located, which program that I decided, that's what they were more. We talk more about just because you want to be in a good location. You don't want to be paying extra funds to be somewhere that you don't have to be. You could have stayed at home. There's a lot of different aspects that goes into it, even though they're with you and what you want to pursue. Like we agree with you.
And just like undergrad, like you're making that choice of like, do you want to stay local or do you want to go a little bit out of bounds, but not too out of bounds, like where you're out of state or on the other side of the country. Like all that stuff came into play again.
Like once you were like, yep, I'm going to grad school. This is where I'm going. This is when it starts. This is when I'm leaving. Like how was all of that? How did that process unfold?
For me, it was more like a waiting game because like the second time around when I applied after I'd gotten like the clinical out, the additional hours and job experience, I just like casted my net broader instead of just applying to like schools in my state that have my program. I applied to like surrounding states and I even applied across the country. So just casting my net as they call it. And whatever, I was at in the mindset of like whatever school says yes after I set out all these applications and do the interview, that's where I'm going. And so that's how I ended up at South Carolina State. I'm grateful for that because my program is amazing. It's like one of the best programs in the state of South Carolina. And like all of the professors like want to help you succeed, and like it's HBCUs, so that experience has been totally different. Instead of like my experience in undergrad where it was like only 4 or 5 like black girls in our cohort, that was its own experience, and being at HBCU is totally different. But I'm grateful for like where I ended up, even though like it took time to get there.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because our aspects are different. Hers was more so cast my net, mine was more so network, use what you got. So I knew the only way I was going to grad school if I wasn't paying for it out of pocket. The only way I wasn't paying for it out of pocket is you're paying my tuition for me. To pay my tuition for me, it also goes into location. If I stayed here, I need to have somewhere to stay, right? I wasn't trying to pay rent or nothing out of pocket either. So it was like, how can I do what I want to do, accomplish what I want to accomplish with minimal financial need as possible? They gave me all the benefits here. Like you're paying for my apartment, you're paying for my tuition because I have a grad assistantship. I have work experience in doing what I want to do. I just have to stay focused. Like there's no other window to do anything else. But the stay focused on what I want to stay focused on, but you provide me with everything, and that's the only reason I'm here. Compared to if I went to school closer to home, I would have been closer to home, but I probably would have been still paying a percentage out of pocket if I couldn't solidify graduate assistantship. I would have been in Atlanta too, in the city, and I probably would have had more to work and to be making money at the same time. So it's like a sacrifice of give take type of thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Also in my grad search, like I looked at the programs and like what they offered and trying to see like if it was the right fit. Because you know some programs are research based, some programs are based in other ways. So like, you know what I mean?
I don't.
I mean, for me, like some schools were like research based programs, so they heavily like include research in the program of study. Which if that's your field or if that's your niche, like you do that. And then there's other schools that are like the traditional style. Yeah.
Okay, so as far as you were saying, how finances played into going to grad school, I feel like for a lot of people that is a
Big deal.
It's a huge deal, if not the biggest deal or decider in whether or not to attend grad school. Because I have a couple of friends who are in grad school and the finances is a huge part of it. So how did the finances play a role in making your decision, and how did all of that unfold for you?
In my application process for grad school, I considered like the in-state price, of course, with the schools that are in Georgia, but then comparing it to out of state, you know, there's out-of-state tuition, so that made a big difference.
So is it a lot of grants? Are you applying for grants, or is it scholarships?
Oh yeah, like I'm continuously applying to like grants and scholarships and like asking my professors about scholarships and figuring out like the conferences that are in my state or like the programs, like whether they have scholarships. So just like digging deep and asking around. There's stuff out there. There's people that are willing to pay for your stuff. So like I went to a convention a couple months ago for speech pathology in South Carolina, and it was all paid for, like the room and everything. I just had to pay like the fee for the convention, which was like $30.
I feel like I kind of already had one to extend a little bit, but I really, at most, exhausting all of my resources to what extent? Because when I first started thinking about grad school, I was offered a grad assistantship specifically for my major, and he offered it to me, and he was telling me what the benefits are, and he was like, you get your tuition paid for, you get a mini stipend. However, you also get a mentorship. So I would have mentored with that professor, probably had like jobs and stuff lined up, etc. However, I wouldn't have had anywhere to stay, and the stipend wouldn't have been like
Enough.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been enough. So regardless, like what you're giving me, I'm using to pay for my living arrangement. So honestly, you're not getting paid. I'm not getting paid for anything, and I would be expected to work in off-campus jobs to solidify the rest of my hours. I'm trying to manage passes. I'm trying to work somewhere to solidify my hours, and I'm trying to like work with you as a mentorship and do whatever you want me to do within the grad assistantship. It was a lot to consider, but I did consider it compared to another option, a grad assistantship as a hall director. It has nothing to do with what my major is. However, I have, like, they give me skills and accessibilities that I can use for interviews, etc. It kind of was like no, I'm not, like, it's not exactly what I want to be doing right now, but it will help me in the long run. So I got the tuition, they paid for the tuition. They also offered me a meal plan compared to the other grad assistantship. I would have had to live in my own apartment. Then I'm expected to pay for my own meals. To do that, I'm expected to work in the job. Here, my entire work is here. I basically live at work, so whenever they need me, I'm able to go freelance whenever I want to. Whatever I'm not using here that they give me to pay for to eat on campus, I have a stipend that's actually, was worth a little something compared to if I was working day-to-day hours. And I can actually pay for stuff outside of what they're already providing to me. And then on top of that, I feel like with this, I'm not allowed to work another job on campus, which, I mean, it's okay considering I'm a grad student. So at this point, like, if you did work somewhere else, it should be somewhere that's off campus. But this job takes so much of my hours because of the benefits that they're offering me. It's kind of just like, I understand that I don't have the time to touch on the areas that I would want to right now, but at the same time, in order for me to fulfill and get exactly what I need and what I asked for, which is I'm here to work for this degree and to spend my time focusing and studying, because I'm not working another job, so I have to focus all my attention on just studying. That's it. And what you're telling me to do, it's pretty set in stone. I feel like it keeps me on the right track, the right path to do what I need to do, and I'm getting to the end goal. So I can't really complain about it. Like, it gave me everything that I need to do what I need to do.
Sounds really well lined up.
Yeah. I'm also doing work study at school, and my schedule is like pretty flexible. So it's not like too demanding of a job where it's like I'm losing sight of what I'm there for, which is grad, like my grad school education. So I like that a lot. Like I was able to find a work study position in general, and then like it's flexible. So
okay, so now I kind of want to talk about like where you are in proximity to home and like being away from home.
well, for me, I'm 3.5 hours from home compared to undergrad. I was 3 hours, and I'm in South Carolina. So a state that I've never been to like that. So it's like a totally new environment.
Okay, sorry for going on this, but what was in making the decision to go to South Carolina and realizing that it is an entirely different state that I'm not used to, that I have to basically go learn
Like start
and like navigate. Yeah, like what was that like in making that decision process? Like, were you nervous?
I was nervous, and like everything was kind of like fast paced because I found out I was accepted in June or July, like the summer that I was starting that fall. So I had to like put everything together quick in terms of like where I was gonna live and figuring that out. All the things that come after that. So, what was your question?
Just what was that process like?
Oh yeah, I was very stressed. I mean, I was excited, like super excited, because I've like been waiting over a year to like get to the point where I was like, you're accepted, you're blah blah blah, and just I know that it was a 2-year program and I could just move on from like the phase I was in of like being at home and figuring everything out. Yeah. So I was excited to like be in a new space and like do my own thing, of course, and then I was also stressed because I found out I was accepted in the summer and I started that fall, so I had to I didn't have a lot of time to get it together, But once it was done, I was cool.
Okay.
Once I got there and got situated, like I was fine, because I was like, it's not too far, like it wasn't how it was in undergrad, and then like if I needed anything, like I knew I could call somebody,
I think for me, because I'm same place, my priorities just shifted. So in undergrad, I was used to traveling more even whenever I wanted to, in order to see family or see my friends or whoever that I wanted to see. Compared to now, my grad experience, and I'm at the same college, I don't move around and do the things that I used to do. Like the whole aspect of being here is looked at completely different, because my focus every day is not, what you focus on every day. And when I go to class, what I'm taking from when I go compared to what you taking from when you go, the undergrads, is tedious work compared to the stuff that I'm learning in class and what they're talking to me about. I'm going, wow, like this is shit I really need to hear. Like if you would have told me this during undergrad, I would have been more prone to coming to class more, being like having my attention, because we're really talking about like the stuff that I'm ready to get into when I get out here in the real world. So I think just pretty much prioritizing, because I'm always focused on working, so I don't leave as much. So this is more compared to undergrad. We said this was my home. Grad, this is dead ass my home. Like when I talk about home, this is where I'm at. Maybe twice, possibly twice.
I don't go home as much.
Yeah, so
and like people don't come to see me as much, which is fine. Because I've come to the point where like when you just call me, like it's fine, and I'll see you when I see you, vice versa. Like that's the energy.
Grad school. What is that like? I feel like we kind of glossed over like
that's a good question.
That in itself, but like what is grad school like? Obviously, it's not undergrad. So what are the differences between grad school and undergrad?
They don't hold your hand. I mean, not to say like they did it undergrad. Like undergrad, like they were checking in with you more. And I feel like at least my department was, With grad school, I feel like, of course, like they state that like they're there for you if you need anything, like here's who you can call, here's what you can do. But in terms of like on a day-to-day basis, like it's up to you, or as a whole in the program, it's up to you to like meet all of their expectations for, and get through it. And then if you have questions, you ask them, if that makes sense.
There's no gray area. Like in undergrad, they feed you this. Everything is black and white. There's a deadline. This is the time you need to turn it in. This is your work. This is what I want you to do exactly to the T. This is what I need you to do. Compared to now is, this is what I expect out of my class. I'm not giving you tedious assignments just to give them to you. I'm only giving you case studies because it's stuff that I want you to learn and actually know when you get out here in the real world. And we're discussing it in class when you do it. You're not just turning it in and I'm giving you a grade. No, you're turning it in. Let's come to class and talk about it. Like, what the fuck? Well, sure, it's like, what did you do? What did you do? And we're talking about that. And also, if there's a deadline that it was due this day, but I didn't have time to do it, we work. Like basically, if I'm emailing my professors, for a fact that I work, so I don't have to BS whatever the reason was that I didn't get this to you on response time. Whatever I sent, you're reading it, and you're going, I completely understand. Yes, it may be some points or something taken off, but other opinions given on why are you sending me this email? There's no reason for you not to turn this in. No time. We're not having that conversation. It is what it is. Like if I'm gonna take 5 points off 4, I'm gonna take it off 4, but I'm gonna still accept it because at the end of the day, you chose to be in grad school for a reason. You got through undergrad and you picked this. You didn't pick this to just waste money. Like, yeah, just for the heck of it. And if it wasn't fun, you wasn't just gonna voluntarily.
And I feel like it's unfortunate that some people do currently have that mindset. Yeah.
Like you kind of have to find your own motivation.
Yeah, you do. You have to have your own motivation.
If you're passionate about what you're doing, like be passionate about what you're doing. Don't just like for the heck of it be in grad school and trying to study for something that you're not really interested in long term.
Yeah, and I think the professors knowing that most of us are in a field that we're supposed to be passionate about or that we have interest in learning more about. The class material is more depth towards that. So like.
You really dive in.
Yeah, so and that's when I was talking about grade area as well. Like in undergrad, you're doing all of this individual work for a grade. Like this just based off of what you're doing.
And there's like a high volume of like doing work all the time.
Compared to in grad, you work with people more. Like you're in groups more. You
like
work with teams more. You share ideas. And if we're being realistic, yeah, you're collaborating. You're talking to other people, and you're being judged based off of your work ethic with the team, like what you're able to contribute to a team. And I feel like that's more realistic for the real world standpoint. And this is what we're going into.
Like you being in business, in a business field, and me being in like a speech pathology, like we both have like work where we both have majors that like have group assignments.
Yeah, you're required. You have to interact with people.
Like that's a must. Either way, like, even though we're both doing totally different careers, like in the real world, you're gonna have to work with a group in some form or fashion. So might as well like suck it up.
Yeah.
And like figure it out.
As an undergrad, we spend a lot of time complaining about the group work, etc., because people weren't doing this, you're doing that. But in reality, and not to say that it's still it can still be something that's not one of your favorites. It's not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
However, being older and you're looking at it from a different perspective, you value it more because you understand that.
I know to be there.
Yeah, you want to be there. You're like, this is really what I'm about to be in. I don't want to mess with it, but I'm gonna figure it out because if this is what I'm gonna be doing on a day-to-day basis, I need to know. I need to be on my top 10, like top tier of what I'm trying to bring to the group.
In terms of like class schedule and the difference in undergrad, my classes, like I had like 2 to 3 classes like Monday, Wednesday, and then Tuesday, Thursday I had a different set of classes, 2 to 3. And then, does that make sense?
Like you had 2 to 3 classes on each day?
Like every other day. So, and then nothing on Friday. In grad school now I have evening classes, so my classes are like 5 to 8:30 and Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday sometimes we have like my clinic seminars, but they've been virtual, so it's just like additional information and stuff like that. A different class each day, Monday through Thursday. I have one class like each evening.
So it's 4?
Yeah, 4 classes.
You're taking 4 classes a semester?
Yeah.
And they only meet once a week?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's important. plus the fact that like where this semester I started in the clinic at school, so there's a university clinic where people come to get speech services in the community, and they're of all ages and have all different types of speech language disorders. So we get practice in the clinic in person, and then we have 2 practicums that are off-site, like not on campus. So there's a school practicum where you get placed in a school in any of like the counties in South Carolina. And then there's a medical one where you can be in any medical setting, like hospital, veterans hospital, skilled nursing facility, etc. Any type of medical setting.
I ain't gonna lie, like being in graduate school, the best part is honestly the program, and that's crazy to say, but my entire experience here, the best part is my program. I only go to class once a week. That's on Tuesdays. That Tuesdays that I go, I have 2 classes, and then the other class that I have is online. So I only have 3 classes in the entire semester. One online, the other 2 are hybrid, and I'm only going once a week. And the course load that they demand from me when I'm going to class daily for one of them, I'm literally just walking in, listening to other people talk about their article reviews, and we're having a class discussion. Mine aren't due till the end of the semester, so I'm looking to write mine too for that. I do a research paper at some point in time, but through every week when I go to class, it's to talk. Pretty much I'm going to class to talk. For my other class, it's based off of individual projects. So every other week there's an individual project due, and every other week there's a case due. The cases are when I work in groups. So it's you doing your individual work, you're going back and forth to working with a group and working by yourself, working with a group, working by yourself. And then the class discussions, we're talking about the work that we did in addition to other cases that are relevant to those. So it's like everything stays within the same realm, but every day that you go to class, you're learning something different from somebody. Like somebody taught you something new. The biggest thing I can say about grad is it's not a waste of your time. That's why it's pleasant. It doesn't feel like a waste of time as you're going through everything that you're doing. It's like we understand that you made this decision. We value that you made the decision. Let's make you enhance it to the best of your ability and make sure you get everything you need out of it before you leave.
Yeah, and like my program is like the program director, she's like the intern program director, but she's amazing. Shout out to Dr. Jessica Berry.
I love it. Like, I hope you see this.
But she's like, or their like mission is like, you came here for a reason, you were selected to be in this program for a reason, so like let's get in and get out and like help you work towards getting through this and then like helping you beyond that, you know? So it's all about like the networking and building connections and like helping each other out, which I admire a lot.
The professors are inspiring as well. Like you hear
Like they're in your corner.
Yeah, that are in your cohort, them telling you how they got there and what they did and what it was like for them compared to like what you're going through sitting there. You're like, oh my God, you came out on the other end. I have this one professor, she's white female, but she's in her late 30s. She got her doctorate though. So it's like you're in your late 30s, you did every single thing that you wanted to do. You got kids and everything, and you're still
Your lifestyle.
Yeah, your lifestyle is exactly what you wanted to be. We come in class. The class for me to come in at 8 a.m. I have an 8 a.m. class and she's the one after that. It starts at like 9:15. You gauge my energy and we're able to talk and sit there and I just be ready. Like, I'm feeding off of your energy. The fact that you got here and you're doing this, I can't wait to be. I cannot wait till I'm done.
Okay, so like you're in class for your certain amount of time. What are you doing outside of class? Like how are you balancing if you're working,
So, like,
working that?
outside of class.
Like any social life? Like how are you balancing grad school with the rest of your life?
Well, I mean, I like make sure I give myself downtime or have days where like I don't do anything school related, just to give myself like a mental break from school and everything related to that, you know. And then like I hang out with my roommates, listen to music, talk to my friends, check in with everybody, like hear what's going on. Because I feel like in this time in school, like I haven't talked to my friends as much as I did in undergrad, and in addition to not seeing them as much. So when I do talk to them, like I enjoy it even more.
I feel like mine is more schedule based. Like, okay, so grad assistantship is the other half. That requires 19 hours of my work time. 10 hours have to be office hours, but I get to schedule my own office hours. I know as a person that one, I'm not a morning person, and I would rather have the beginning and the end of the week off in case something happens. I want to travel or I just like don't want to be here. I need to take a break. So I don't have office hours on Mondays or Fridays. They're all on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I don't like the morning. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, office hours are from 12 to 4. Gives me time to get up and do whatever I need to do, and then from 12 to 4, I'm in there. Now for some people, they're like 4 people. You sit in the office for 4 hours straight. Within those 4 hours, you got people that want to come in and talk to you on and off while you're trying to do whatever work task that you got to do.
It's distracting.
Yeah, it's distracting. It's distracting. But also within those 4 hours, I also am a student. So I would rather be in my office doing work compared to being in the library doing some work. So I'm dividing those 4 hours up on I'm completing the tasks that you want me to complete, answering emails. However, I also got classwork that I want to look at. I also got a to-do list that I want to make to figure out what I want to do. But I also need time to have one-on-ones with my RAs, talk to whoever I need to talk to. So within those 4 hours, I'm trying to do everything I possibly can. That way when I leave at 4 o'clock, that time is for me to do whatever I want to do. So like, yes, I'm on time spent, but I'm trying to complete as much as possible so I don't have to worry about this anymore once I leave this room.
Work in a way that's best for you. That's what I've learned, and like, just work in a way that's best for you.
And making time for the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
If you're not making time to do nothing that you want to do, your mental is not going to work. Because you're not finding no enjoyment. You're going to shut down. You're going to burn out. It's getting you. You're trying to remain out of that post-grad state because everybody be focused on post-grad depression. What I'm going to do after this. Yeah. Once you get into your major, if you do choose graduate school, it doesn't just disappear. You just got distracted because you work here. Every now and then, when you sit down, though, you still like, damn, this is me after graduation. This is what I chose to do. Oh, and then also, like, she has the research and stuff that she does within her program. Even though I'm not doing that, and I picked the other route, grad assistant wise. I have organizations and stuff I've been doing. So like right now, I'm a member of, I'm a co-director of the Institute of Management Accountants. Yes, it's not necessarily like geared towards my programming and stuff that I'm studying on a daily, but I chose to do it because it gives me outlets to reach in my profession. So within that organization, that's how I got the internship that I'm about to work towards now. So like utilizing your resources to like to do the things that you want to do. So even though you didn't get because when you make the opportunity to choose your college or whatever you want to do, you're picking the benefits of what works best for you. Like you're sacrificing something. If I pick this one, then I can't have the ones that one has.
Right.
So I picked here, and they gave me all of these things, but work-wise, I lose some pieces. So now I had to go and search for that, and I searched for it and I found it. So it's what you want to use your time for. Like you can find the things that you need in any location. You just may have to dig for it more compared to if you were somewhere else.
So any advice about going through the grad school process, like anything that you wish you would have done differently, things that you didn't consider initially that you eventually had to consider, or just like any advice? Just because you picked what you wanted to study for your master's program does not mean you have to follow their path professional-wise. So like, I'm here studying my master's of accountancy. Most people studying their master's of accountancy are trying to be CPAs. They want to be a certified public accountant. My goal is to be a certified management accountant. But every time I go to classes and I talk to my professors, they're gearing you up towards that. So you're studying our tests, our assignments, it's getting you prepared for the CPA exam, which I maybe eventually will take later, but it's like right now I have to remind myself like, okay, that's not the track that I'm on with them. That doesn't mean like that doesn't mean like I'm less valuable as a student, or I'm not bringing as much, or there's like not a reason for me to be here just because I'm not taking that path that they're talking about most of the time.
It's gonna help you down.
Yeah, it's gonna help you down the line, but if you have a specific thing in mind, like that you know you want to do or take from it, and it wasn't necessarily like what they're gearing you towards, that's fine. You just have to find your own track and find maybe your own mentors, your own resources for it. It doesn't mean you should stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like don't stop.
Or like go to crisis.
Yeah, or a crisis mode, like moving on. I made the wrong decision. This is not for me.
Yeah.
No. Still get a degree, still studying for it. You're still there, but you may not be using it for like either what you expected to or what they expect you to use it for.
My mindset is different because like my undergrad degree was in communication sciences and disorders, which essentially is what I'm doing now in grad school, is speech pathology. So I'm just like moving right along in terms of like, and there's like a carryover with the information I learned in undergrad and what I'm learning in grad school. It's just on a different level, you know?
No, I feel that.
It's a roller coaster, like life is a roller coaster, but like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, y'all have said so much. And I'm like literally, I'm so glad I'm back in grad school. Like, y'all going through all this, like, this just sounds like checklist.
And like, I'm not saying when you say like grad school is a must, like, it's a, like, that's, I wouldn't say it's for everybody. Like, if you don't feel the need to, if you don't feel like that's for you, then like, by all means do what you want to do and like take the path that you want to take, as long as you're like getting to the point that you want to be, you know? And you'll never, yeah.
A must for me, I wanted to work smarter and not harder. So like, getting that
Yeah,
one
like I could work like straight out of undergrad as an assistant, but I didn't want to do that.
Yes, yeah. And I agree with what she's saying. So like straight out of bachelor's, I'm working. Once I get out, wherever I start, staff accounting position, and I'm consistently working my way up to make that money. Compared to, I'm about to graduate with like 2 more degrees. I'm
you present yourself with all of
my first position, the very first position I have is already up there. I'm not working my way up when I get out compared to I just sat here and I studied the entire time. And now as soon as I come out, I'm starting at a high ranking level of where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I feel like I made this choice to skip a bunch of steps. I have to do a lot of work here while I'm here, and I have to remain focused.
And the process to getting there, like there's several steps involved.
But it's worth it.
Big picture.
Yeah, if it's not worth it for you, I don't think it's the choice to make. Because you can still be just as successful without adding degrees or without a degree at all.
Negatives is a strong word. What have been some cons that you've come to live with? Yeah. That you weren't necessarily anticipating, or maybe were anticipating, and now you're just kind of living through them.
I think I faced my first con, and that is I took a break that first time, and I didn't go to school during the summer. So because I didn't, I have to go to school during the summer now. Now I have like a job offer in my hands, so I'm making the decision of if I have to pick the choice, it's school first. I have to do school first because I will be wasting money. They're paying for it. For them to pay for it, I have to stay here. If I'm gonna stay here, I can't work that big job that's gonna give me all of that money. I gotta finish the degree first. So it's if they meet me in person, but it's hybrid. So things shift all the time. That's really what it is. The negative is things shift all the time, and you could be presented an opportunity at any moment. You're not gonna stop the track that you want to. Like, you done already spent money trying to get this degree, or you've already wasted like spent all this time putting your mental into getting this degree. You're not going to stop your tracks just to start working on something else. It's either you're going to do it at the same time or.
So even if you were presented with like your dream job,
I have to still finish the degree.
Yeah.
I gotta finish the degree. It's a requirement. I have to finish the degree. And if they really want you, they will wait for you because they know that you're.
Or they'll like work with you alongside.
Yeah, they'll work with you alongside it.
Yeah.
Because if we're being completely honest, though, if you're receiving degree, like
And if you say like you're graduating like in a couple months or the year the following year, like they'll work with you.
Yeah.
In most cases.
If they're talking to you while you're in the midst of trying to get a degree, they want you because you're pursuing it. If they want you because you're pursuing it, they're not going to penalize you for stopping, for denying them or declining them because you wanted to finish what you were doing. So either they're going to work with you or they're going to wait for you. So that it'll be like, when you finish on this day, because they're going to ask you
you're like
graduation day.
a candidate like willing to be.
Yeah, willing to,
So
they need
given,
you.
like, yeah, of course they're recruiters and they're trying to get people in whatever, but like if you have like a good like resume and background experience plus like you're in school, you know, XYZ, like they're gonna want you and like they're gonna be willing to work with you.
Yeah, because you're basically their perfect candidate. You're their perfect candidate that they're looking for. They just can't have you yet. So they would rather wait that time frame to get you rather than continue to search for people that may not meet that.
yeah, that completes my questions for this episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I'm hopefully got a lot of value out of this episode, speaking to some grad school. I don't know what do you call it?
Grad student.
Grad student. Speaking with these grad student friend of mine, I will link all their information down below. So if you want to stay in the know about what's going on with them, like follow them on socials, you know, stay in the know. Maybe have some questions. They might know. I don't know. That's between them and them. But I'll link that. I'll link that down below. Let me know if you guys found this helpful. If you have anything you want to add to the conversation. With that being said, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Go ahead. Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And come back next week for episode 9.
Woo!
Woo! So y'all gotta like lean into the front.
No, we gotta all sit.
I mean, we don't have to sit on top of each other, but
It's okay because it'll keep me warm. Hey, I'm not opposed.
hello, welcome back to my. Oh Lord, Jesus Christ!
What?
My tea by mine. Very good cups. All right,
The best way to do it.
Giving.
so we have to do a cheers. Cheers. Episode 8.
No
That was it. No clink.
But
No,
it's
we
okay.
haven't done it yet. We haven't done it yet. I'm saying episode 8. Woo! Y'all, come on.
Is it up? Cheers. Boom. Down.
Straight
We're touching cups, so it's gonna
You're
clink.
doing it straight out.
So I'm
We have
gonna
to go.
Yeah, come
We gotta go.
Ready? Yay! Episode 8.
No, this is actually good.
Thank you. It's edited.
Because like as you say the questions, like I have my answer, but
And then
I'm explaining it.
I'm telling you, this is what I'm telling y'all. Like, this is why we taking so long, because we be like, oh, I want to go back to that point that we was talking about earlier. It's fine.
And I'm just gonna give you like a sentence, like
Yeah,
there's a lot.
it's
to
fine.
say.
I'm literally all over the place in editing. I'd be like, all right, can you just say this?
You know.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about a lot.
No,
Talked about a lot.
Y'all did. Y'all had a lot of points. Hold on.
Girl, you about to dissect.
Oh!
Dissecting in pieces.
Okay.
What did we not answer for you?
No. You've answered a lot. Actually, a lot.